Hi everyone, it's Tina the Scrappin Rabbit from the Scrappin Rabbit blog. So if you've come from my blog or Facebook or Instagram, thank you so much. And thanks so much for all those wonderfully sweet comments you leave me. I really appreciate every single one. If you are new and finding me upon the internet, then welcome, welcome, welcome. I just wanted to take a quick minute to introduce myself since this is my very first YouTube video, and I have a wonderful project to share with you guys today, and I really hope that you enjoy it. Okay, first you need to get everything together to make your card. For those of you who follow me on my blog know that I am a designer for Craftin Desert Divas, and so of course I'm going to be using a lot of those wonderful stamps. And for this card I'm going to be using the Under the Sea set, and as you can see there's so many cute images. These are just so cute. I love this set. And I'm also going to be using this little crab from the Crabby mini set, as well as this starfish from Wish Upon a Star. You'll need to get all your cuts together, and so what that consists of is the outside of your card, which is cut with just black cardstock, and these measure 8.5 by 4 inches, and they are scored along the 2-inch line and again at the 1/2 inch line, and so these just fold like this. There's a score line here. When I designed this, I designed it on my Cricut, and it does the score line for me. But if you don't have a Cricut, that's fine. You can just cut it, and you can use a scoreboard and make sure that you're scoring along those edges as you need to. The front panel, you do need to cut out a window, so it is much easier to do if you have a cutting machine. Otherwise, you can use an X-Acto knife and measure out a 1/2 inch border for your window, and then you just go ahead and fold on those score lines. This is going to be the base of your card. So as you can see, your card's going to fit together like this. And that's going to make your box. And then once it's glued together, it will fold flat and go into an envelope. Here are the rest of my cuts for my card, and I will have all the sizes of each piece for you so that you know what you need to cut if you wanted to do this size. These are the little bars that are going to go across. Couple in the sand color and a couple in the blue color. So I just did the blue for the top since it's supposed to be water, and then I did the sand for the bottom since there's gravel and rock and such at the bottom of a fish tank. This panel here is going to go in the back, and then these are the two that are going to fit on the sides, and this is going to go on the flip side of the card, and it's basically a piece here where you can stamp a sentiment, write your message, and I just added a little blue border because I like the way that that looks with the black, the blue, and the white. Another piece that you're going to need is some acetate, and this is going to go in the window, and so it'll get glued on the front like that. Right now it has a piece of tissue paper on it, which is why you can see it. And so then that helps to keep all the smudges off it and keep it from getting scratched. But that will go inside your window like that. What I like to do is I picked this really pretty aqua cardstock, but I really wanted it to look more like water, and so something really quick and easy. There's all kinds of things that you can do to decorate your paper. But what I did was something really easy, and I thought that it turned out nice. I just took a very simple little blue ink pad. This is one of those ones that I got, I think for $1 at Michael's or Joann's. And I just rubbed around on this piece here and swirled around, and it gave it a nice little effect. And kind of give it like a ripply water effect. And actually, it's better if you do it on top of a piece of paper so you don't get your mat all covered in ink. This is not a very inky pad, so I'm not too worried about it. But I really liked the way that that looked to do that. I don't know if you can see, but it just gives it a nice little effect. It kind of looks like ripples. It reminds me of when we had our pool and you look inside the water and it little ripple effects. So I do that to the back and then again to the sides. It kind of gives it a couple different blue tones with the aqua. Make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more decorative. Something really fast. You don't have to wait for it to dry. This card has a lot of details, so I don't know how much time you want to spend making your own paper. But for me, this was a really quick solution. And it made a big difference. Now it's best if you decorate the back of your panel before you go to put your box together, because then you won't have to deal with trying to stick things in, which you're going to have to anyways once you put your box together, because you do have to put it together in order to put all the little pieces in there. So then just have an idea of how you want to lay everything out. I cut a bunch of little coral, and I stamped my little fishies, my little crab castle, and I basically used the die cuts or fussy cut, the ones that I didn't have dies for, and then I just took my turquoise, one of my turquoise Spectrum Noirs, after I colored it, and then I went around the white trim so that way when they're sticking up, they kind of look like they're in the water without that white edge. You can leave the white edge. It's all up to you. Whatever you decide. I like the way that it looks with the aqua. I like the little shimmer on there. So I'm going to add that to these little fish. So now you're just going to want to lay everything out how you want it. And also, you can ink up your cuts. Give it a little bit more dimension. And I did that with the pink and the purple already. Let me do it with this one here, with just a little brown, just to give it a little bit more depth. These cuts here are from the Life's a Beach cartridge. A lot of really cute sea critters on there and sea themed items. So then just figure out which pieces you want to go where, and you can decorate your back panel. And then I'll just lay these down with my Sig pen. Okay, so now I have these little iridescent sequins that I think are just so pretty, and I thought these might look good for the little part of little sparkles in the background. Give it a little bit of a bubbly effect. Mix these in there. Now we're going to have to get our side pieces adhered. So this one's easy. It'll just go on this black piece. This one has a little black edge, and it's going to fit on to this part of the card here. And this is how they're going to connect together. So it can get a little bit tricky when you go to glue. You just have to be careful. So what I'll do is I'll adhere this to this piece here. Oh, I'm sorry. This to this piece here, and then put the whole thing down like that. And you can see your box cards is already starting to come together. I try to get my edges as straight as possible, but it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. We've got this last panel to glue in there, and then we'll glue that over to this side, like that. And there you go. Once you have your box put together, you're going to want to lay it down and press on the folds this way, and lay it down and press on the folds this way, just to make sure that it's nice. It's drying nice where all the edges need to meet, and so that it will fold down nicely for you. Oh, that's coming together so nice. Isn't that cute? I love the little sparkle of the sequins. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put our levers in there. And I'm just calling these levers. I don't know why I'm calling these levers, but as you can see that they are scored. So I'm just gonna fold them down that way. And these strips, what I did was I made them about 0.4 inches, just under a ½ inch, because this frame is a ½ inch, and so I didn't want it to be as big or bigger. I wanted it just to be a little tad bit smaller, so that when it's inside it will not be above that point. And then the scores are on the, what did I score these at? 3/4 of an inches on either end. So that, of course, between the score lines, this measures 6 inches, the same width as your card. So I have 2 of the tan to go on the bottom for the bottom of the tank, and then I have 2 of the blue to go across the top for the water. And they just fold pretty easily when they have a score down them. I find that it is much easier to use the liquid glue for this part of my box card because it gives you a little bit of movement so that if you don't lay it down exactly where it needs to be the first time, you have a chance to slide it just right into place. And with this 3/4 inch, I did it so that when you go to place them in the edges, you can make this flush to the front, and then the other piece you'll make this edge here flush to the back, and you'll just glue it. I would put it just slightly below the top of the card. It's not that important where exactly you do it, but it's going to go in there. This one this way, and this one that way. So now we have 2 bars going across the top for water and 2 bars going across the bottom for the sand. And as you can see, it's just going to fold flat and go into an envelope. Isn't that wonderful? And here, let me show you that envelope again. So I sized this card for this envelope, and I gave myself a room to go around since it's going to be thicker than normal card. But you'll just want to make sure that you press down and get the folds going both ways. Oh my goodness, that's Minnie. Let me let her in. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to get our bars across. Gosh, I don't have the terminology for all this. But if you can see these very thin strips of transparency, and what I use for this, I don't use the same thing that I use for my windows, for my shaker cards, and for these type of acetate windows. Let me show you what I use. This is actually not acetate. So for this, I use this acetate alternative. I got a great deal on Amazon. I read a lot of people had a lot of luck with these for the shaker cards, and it's called Duralar, the acetate alternative, and it comes in a whole pad, as you can see. So the price for that transparency is so expensive. I can't even believe how much they charge for that, even at an office supply place. So I found this is made by Graphics, and it works great. It's a nice glossy film, and the weight that I got was the medium. They actually have a thicker weight, which is what I'll get next time. I wouldn't go with the lighter one, but this is the .003 clear film, and this works perfect for shaker windows as well as a window like this, where you just need to see through something and maybe holds in some sequins or beads. Now for my box cards, I actually use the containers from my Cricut cartridges, and basically I just cut them into little strips, and these are about 1/2 inch by 4 inches, maybe a little shy of 4, because I don't want it to be exactly 4, because I want it to go within the window and not stick up. So I want it to go inside across these bars without sticking up over the top. And if it does stick up, you know, you can just get some scissors and trim it. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I like these, and it's firm, so you can see it's got a little bounce to it. It's not going to just sag like this would just sag if it was in a strip. This actually has some thickness to it, and it will hold up. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get your strips, and let me see. Here, you could see it better on this. However many you want. I am going to do 4. And so I have them already pre-cut. And basically these are going to hold the little scenery. So I will put a couple in the front and a couple in the back, and I'll decorate them with the little fish, the little seahorse. He's got a little sequins on his head, and maybe add some coral. My little crabby and my little castle, these are going to go right on the bar, so I'm not going to need to stick these on the film. But I'll probably have one with a little fish going across. And of course we have our little seaweed. So you're going to just decorate your little scene however you want to do it and put it all together. So let me figure that out, see how I want to do it. And I'm going to move this piece of paper since I need this for part of my card, and I don't want to get glue all over it. But I know it was easier for you to see with that underneath. But now I'm just going to kind of come up with my little configuration, and I'm going to start gluing. And I'm probably going to use glue dots because I find like these work best on this clear film. And then I don't have to worry about it sliding all over with wet glue. But I like to use the glue dots, and all of the box cards that I've made for years now are completely intact, and they're not falling apart at all, and I've used these dots. So I really like these. Okay, so let me get going, and I'm gonna put some scenery here together. Okay, so now that we have our little stems, I don't know what to call them, these pieces right here, now that we have them decorated, it's time to go ahead and put them in our box. So what I usually do for that is I get my glue dots. What I'll do is I'm going to stick it to, put a glue dot here and put a glue dot there, and then I'm going to stick this one to that bottom tan piece and this one to the upper blue piece, and it'll go across vertical like that. So we've got one here and one glue dot here. And like I said, these glue dots do a great job keeping everything together. When you are gluing your pieces, try to not have any stray pieces of glue sticking out so that it doesn't stick together with your card when you go to fold it down flat. So you want your pieces all sticky free. So this one will go down here. And this one will glue up to the top. And you just press it together. Okay, now I'm going to put this little guy in here. And the way I'll do him is I'll put glue dots along the front. Okay, so we have all our little guys in there attached to the top and the bottom. And it'll fold just like that. How cute is that? Oh my gosh, that's so cute. One more thing. I want to add this little guy. So I put a little sparkle on his little arms, the arms of the star. So now let's see. We're going to get some glossy accents. Here it is. Okay. Oh, I love this little starfish. So cute. So we're going to put a nice generous amount over the front of this happy little star. So happy. Yay, that turned out good. So there you go, back of the card. And then once it's on there, I mean, ideally you would write your sentiment and do all of that before, and then glue it on there before you set up the whole box so that it's nice and flat. But I found that when I've had to make box cards up in advance, they're not too hard to write on if you use like a Sharpie or some kind of a marker, and you know, because you don't have to press that hard, and you're going to be laying it flat anyways to go in the envelope. So you could set it down, put it on there like this, and then write your quick message, and it won't mess it up. It won't cause it any harm. See, I got a little sticky on the front of my box, so I will have to get that wiped clean. But isn't that cute? Okay, so let's put the back on there, and then we'll go back to our last element, which is that starfish. Sending birthday fishes. Oh, I love it. So exciting. Okay, so now let's go back to our glossy accents, settling down on our little starfish. Okay, so see, it's already started to dry. It's already started to dry, but it's still a little wet. So you would think, oh, okay, it's dry. No, it's not. Trust me, if you touch it, you're gonna get a fingerprint in there. But it's okay because we're not too worried about that. I'm just gonna grab it with my tweezers. We are going to stick the little starfish onto the front of the glass. Oops. Try not to mush it too much. And see, he's still wet. You can see that glossy accents. Isn't that cute? So there is our card. Sending birthday fishes.